You're watching Talking About Orks. In this episode of Talking About Orks, 6th edition, I'm going to be going over Meganobz. Now, Meganobz are one of those units that is really kind of unclear as to its true purpose and what its strengths are really going to be. And I think only time is really going to tell how well they are. They are rooted, of course, in the slow and purposeful rule. And slow and purposeful had got a major change in this edition over the previous editions. So let's just talk about what are the limits on slow and purposeful. The limits are they cannot run, they cannot perform a sweeping advance, which is different than before because the Meganobz were able to do a sweeping advance before, and they cannot fire Overwatch. With twin link shooters, that's actually quite a hindrance if your Meganobz going to get assaulted. They can shoot with heavy weapons, salvo, ordnance weapons, blah blah blah, none of which the Meganobz have. So their restrictions are very, very significant. On the other hand, they're not slowed down. They're no longer counted as running through difficult terrain, and they no longer so they're not going to reduce their move distance. They're not going to move their assault distance or reduce their assault distance, but they don't get to run. So if you're going to foot slog these guys, or if they're in a transport that gets destroyed, they're going to be kind of slow to get to where they're going because they don't get that run. So you only get a 6-inch move and then hope something's within 2d6 assault range. So if they are getting out of a transport, of course you move your transport 6, move the guy 6. And as I said, they're not slowed down anymore, so they're not going to be hurt by charge range over other models. So that's where the Meganobz are really going to shine, as they're not slowed down anymore. But that lack of Overwatch, though, is really harsh, and I think the lack of run is also pretty harsh, especially once their transports gets blown out. Because really, you're going to need a transport for Meganobz because they can't run. Whether it be a battle wagon or truck. You know, I haven't gotten over the transports yet, to be honest. That's going to be a few videos down the road, because I actually think I want to try playing them in a game first before I make a video on vehicles. So what's good about Meganobz? Well, we're talking about a lot of the restrictions. Of course, what's best is they are a 2+ armor save. With the changes to power weapons in 6th edition, most of them being AP3, that's amazing. A 2+ save is really, really good in 6th edition. So definitely don't discount Meganobz. They're gonna go up against units that were just devastating before. Anything that's a Grey Knight that doesn't have a Demon Hammer, they're not going to be AP2 anymore. Death Cult Assassins, they're not AP2. Power weapons and Marine armies, Relic Blades, they're not AP2. So they're going to get a save much, much more often than they ever have before. So they're definitely going to be useful against a lot of units where before they were just going to get wiped out before they ever got to swing. Of course, and the Power Fists are AP2, so if you go up against a vehicle, you do get that +1 on the damage table. So even if you multi-charge and lose your extra attack and your Furious Charge, I don't think that's going to matter a whole lot. So still getting these things into a wall of vehicles is going to be devastating. So how do you use Meganobz? You know, they were always kind of a precision strike unit, something that has to be used against certain targets and not others. That's not going to change, but the difference is the number of targets that can be used against are greatly increased, and the things they have to fear are greatly decreased. Anything with rending should probably be avoided, like Gene Stealers or Harlequins. They might stand up to Harlequins, I don't know. And of course you have to look at your opponent's army list. If they have power axes that are initiative 1, yeah, you're going to be going simultaneously, so I wouldn't really worry about power axes too much, because again, they're only going to be an initiative 1. But it's nice to know who has them, so you can use your Meganobz appropriately. As a scoring unit, again, they can't run, so I don't know how useful they're going to be as a scoring unit trying to get to that objective late in the game, because they're stuck on that 6-inch move, and that's all they get to move if they're not assaulting. So I'm quite in a quandary about Meganobz overall. I think they got better in general, but not as good as I was really hoping they would be. That's pretty much sums it up. I mean, there's a lot of things to think about for Meganobz. If you're going to use them, you have to really pay attention to your opponent's list and know exactly where you're going to use them, how you're going to use them, and when you're going to use them. Even more so than in 5th edition. Because they're slower, and the transports aren't as good, so you're going to have to really be aware of what they're doing. And just kind of an addendum, let's talk about slow and purposeful, because the unit contains at least one model. So that means if you have a war boss or a mech in Mega Armor, you can put them with that unit, and then the whole unit gains this rule. We don't have a lot of heavy weapons, of course, so the only thing that would really benefit from adding a Mega Armored IC would be Ludas. And that loss of the Overwatch may not be worth the move and shoot, because they can already move and shoot Snapfire. So I don't think it's worth losing Overwatch to add the move and shoot without Snapfire, to be honest. But it's something to think about if you want to. The other thing you can do is say add in a shock attack gun mech into a unit of Meganobz with a boss pole. Now you've got a moving and shooting shock attack gun, and the boss pole gives the extra leadership. Meganobz will help them stick around a little bit. Oh, leadership, that's a good point. The leadership rules are definitely going to help Meganobz, because that way they're not going to run off the table as easily as they were before, because you can get those chances to regroup, whereas before you wouldn't have any. So, and again, that's the general thing about the Orc army, that the new leadership rules are a really huge benefit. But I think the shock attack gun mech would be kind of fun to add into the unit of Meganobz. Gives the shock attack gun some protection, gives a Meganobz something to do, and higher leadership and a boss pole. So overall, that's could be a really fun unit. Just put them on the ground and just move up and shoot the AP2 template. Or even in a vehicle, you can move up and shoot with the shock attack gun, as long as they're with the Meganobz. So battle wagon with the shock attack gun and Meganobz, shooting that template out of it, yeah, could be fun. May not be that effective, may not be that great, but it's definitely something you can do, especially if you like. A lot of people like the shock attack gun. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. I'd prefer using my HQ slots for something else, but now that you can have 4 HQs, I don't know. There could be a lot of fun going on with the combination of slow and purposeful and the heavy weapons, that the very few heavy weapons are actually in the Orc Codex. I think I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover on the Meganobz. Please, if you've actually used them in 6th edition, which I have not, let me know where and how they were effective and where they weren't effective. Please go ahead and make comments down below. Make your own response videos. I would love to get some more first-hand accounts on Meganobz. So that's it. Talk to you guys later.